Welcome to What Have You with Rachel Jankovic and Rebecca Merkel. Before we get started, I wanted to recommend to you the Canon app. Even if you choose not to subscribe to all of the locked content, it's still a great place for you to have What Have You and the rest of Canon Press's podcasts. Go download the Canon app today. If you choose to subscribe, you can find all kinds of talks and messages from both Rachel and Becca, including their books.
Welcome back to What Have You. I am Rachel Jankovic.
I am Becca Merkel.
And it's spring break.
It is so spring break.
For my spring break.
It is so fun.
I'm having
on
my
spring break.
Face toasted off with the craftiness of my children.
I'm having my face toasted off with my own crafts that I'm trying to do.
I haven't even gotten around to mine. I'm just milling around. So I've been letting my kids all, this is their big, they love to do stuff. So this was their chance to make whatever food they wanted to make. And, so I was like, sure, you can all have, I said you can each make dinner on a different night.
Fun, yeah.
And then Moses got in because Daphne decided she wanted to make a sourdough focaccia, so she's going to take a different day so she could get that going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Moses got in out of age order.
Okay, so what's Moses going to make?
Spaghetti. The man lives for spaghetti. He eats an unbelievable amount of it. Like when we have spaghetti, really don't know where he's putting it all. Like it's an unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3 large adult serving sizes that he will kill of spaghetti. So whatever, that's what he went to make.
He's ready for it.
And I came in, I was like, yeah, okay, we'll get started on the spaghetti. And he's 5. But he's the youngest of a lot of kids, which puts you in a different kind of
league.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'll put the pot on. And I'm like, well, you probably won't. That's going to be too heavy for you. But he did get the pot out and everything. But I walk into the loom room to consult with Chloe about a quilt that she's whizzing up in there. Mm-hmm. And I had said casually to Moses that we would make a salad too. And then I walk into the loom room, and when I came back, he has whizzed up 4 heads of lettuce and had the cutting board out and the knife and a stool, and there's whole pieces of lettuce on the floor and some and that felt to me like a little picture of everything, how it's all been right now is I don't have the speed to keep up with this. Yeah, that's good. Thanks. It was good fun. We landed it. We made the spaghetti. We made the salad dressing, and we did it. But a lot of stuff's coming at me kind of faster than I feel capable of seizing.
I have been painting my cabinets for longer than seems humanly possible.
Yeah, cabinets are like that, though. They're brutal to paint.
And there's a lot of just, look at my hands. They're covered in paint here and there. Anyway, I haven't even started the shelves yet. And so when I get home from right now, I'm going to launch those shelves.
One of my jobs, I told the kids that they could prime a cabinet I'm going to paint upstairs, and that was a scene as well. Yeah. So, but that cabinet is a funky, weird old hutch that I purchased on the cheap.
Yeah.
And then we're going to turn it into the yarn store upstairs so that there's a big place to have all the yarn.
Love it.
So it would be good if I got it done so I could get stuff out of my,
that'd be very cool.
Out of the other locations.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I keep feeling, I think for the last straight 10 days, I've been feeling like any minute now, I'm going to be able to move into my cabinets. Any minute now. But life keeps interfering, and I keep having other things. And stuff gets in the way. But any minute now, I'm going to move into my cabinet.
Well, I will rejoice with you when you get there.
Well, you will, because I'm going to call you immediately. And I'm
feel really weird about something that I realized is more a way of life for me forever. Is that
I have paint on my head.
Yeah,
Okay, I got
it's not a surprise. Didn't you find a dead bug in your hair one time while we were podcasting?
On the podcast,
Yeah,
right? What
live.
did I had been
It's like a
stuffing my
fly
head.
or something. It was so gross.
What did I have my head in back then?
I don't know. But
I remember it was something I was working on.
For so long, we were never in the house that we were going to be in for a long time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you would have some
matters.
odd item, and you'd be like, probably should just hang on to this until, because I might
Someday.
need it.
Yeah.
You know? It's really weird for me to know all of the rooms. Like, because we have a lot more bedrooms here than we ever did, that it's just really odd when there's something that I like, but I'm like, there's no place for this in my house.
Oh, sure.
It's, like, really odd to me.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, well, we must part ways now. This item that I always thought maybe I'll have
maybe someday it'll be
well, or like maybe I'll need
the
it,
right
you
place.
know?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of my decorating life has been a lot of making do and making things work with things that are like that you found at a thrift store, or that you know, like little things that you purpose and repurpose, and it's odd to like enter into the final frontier of that on some things where you're like, at this point, if there's no place in our house that needs a mirror, we don't need this mirror. Like, now I've come to the part where I know I don't need this mirror.
Right.
Anyways, it's kind of a weird adjustment.
Yeah, it's true. I don't feel like I'm there yet. I feel like half my house is the grown-up house that I'm working on, and the other half of it is reckless mayhem.
Well, to be clear, I don't feel like that's not because my whole house is finished. It's because we've just ruled out, like, I now know we don't need a desk in any of those places. It's not because every place is furnished as I desire it for the long term.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well.
Yeah, but I'm setting up an office in the basement. Well, no, I'm not, but I will.
That's fun.
When we get
That's
to
very
the
fun.
hanging the doors and putting the flooring down. Yeah, because this is a real problem. I'm sure you all appreciate this, but when I need to go right, or I need to do something, or I have something on I need to work on this.
Yeah.
It's real hard to do that while you're in your house, because I'm like, well, I wrote a paragraph which reminded me that I should turn the laundry over. And then the next thing you know, you're cutting up the chicken for something, and you've just moved back into your other work.
It is far easier for me to write. And in fact, I think that almost all the writing I have done has been when we were out of town.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of your life and in your house, it's actually very difficult to mentally break.
Like, it's been, if I'm on a trip with Ben and he has a conference, and I could just stay in the hotel room, you know, and like just sit and work.
In contrast, that's not how any of my writing has been done. I don't write away from home. I write in the home. Lemming the Years was written with Blair sitting in a bumpo looking at me the whole time. It was putting some pressure on it.
No, I think what I'm saying is I have to do mine in great, big chunks, because it's like, we're gone for 3 days. I'm going to hammer this out.
Yeah.
Then nothing happens for a few months. And then
you hammer it out again.
A bunch of the edits all happened, of course, when I was at home. But I just mean, like, getting out the initial.
Sometimes I would get up. There was one stretch, I think, with Yoo-Hoo that I would get up early and write. But for me, for that to be a joy, the space that you go sit in early in the morning needs to be a joy. It needs to be ahead of schedule, not behind schedule. Yeah. And so that's why I'm hoping.
Yeah, no, I think
because if you go to a space that's actually orderly and clean and not calling your attention to what you didn't do yet. Yep. Then you can get there in a mental zone. Yeah. But no, I write in the middle of my life, but I just find it harder and harder to
It is hard because I feel like there's never a time at which sitting down to write a paragraph is the number one thing on my to-do list. Yeah, that's a real problem. Because it needs to get done, but not as much as people need to be given their dinner.
Well, when I have some deadlines and things in my writing or reading life, but they don't come out and get you. They don't come bite your face off like not doing the laundry does, or not having, like, if I failed to think or provide food, I could not I could not forget that I had failed to do that, because I will speak with the whole world about it, that I haven't done that yet, and it will come out to get you. But not so the writing and reading. No. Nobody's like, what's your problem? Why haven't you done this yet? You just kind of coast on by. So I have a theory. It's a very small little office. It's the snug, the little room right at the bottom of the stairs. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
But
that's fun.
It should be fun.
That sounds very fun.
I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I ordered all my curtain fabric, so when it comes, I'm gonna
curtain
start
fabric
in on that for my bedroom.
Okay. Yeah.
This is like the project that goes, speaking of like doing things when you're out of town, this project is one that has gone from school break to school break.
Yeah.
And I meant to have all my fabric here for spring break so that I could finish it, but then I didn't order it in time, and so it's not going to come until later. But anyway, it was like, I did the carpet and the painting over Thanksgiving break. And then I did I think I did my bedding over Christmas break. And then now I'm going to try and do my curtains over. Anyway, it's...
Yeah. Okay, should I pull up a question?
You should.
I should give you all a hot tip.
I'm just going to tell you right now, Rachel, just stand by, because I'm going to have a tip. At the end of this episode, I have one.
I have a tip, too. I'll save it for then.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, just... let it be known that I came with a tip.
Okay. Okay, this one is... Okay. I've been pondering the difference between the highly curated perfect homes and lifestyles promoted all over versus our calling as Christians to excellence and beauty in our spheres. So this is, I suppose, the question is a question of sort of like, well... I suppose, pondering the difference between perfection and having your house look perfect, for one thing, and our calling as Christians to excellence and beauty in our spheres. And I was just talking to a young mother, and I actually think that this is a scene, I think that this is relevant, so maybe we can talk about this, unless the well runs dry and we have nothing to say on this point.
Somehow I doubt that.
Well, this kind of topic came up because in dealing with your life with little kids, how do you, like, things that are frustrating or things that are getting in, it can be hard. And one of the things that I was bringing up is that I think a lot of Christian women are missing sort of an imagination for what they're trying to achieve that actually aligns with what God gives us as our purpose, because it's very easy to see a picture on Instagram and make that the thing that you're trying to achieve. Like, I'd like to achieve what amounts to a still shot.
Yep.
Right? I want to achieve this feeling that I see in this picture. I want to achieve in my home, but that's not actually, like, what is the home? You think, if you're a mother with little kids, it's like this amazing organic thing where babies come into it and adults come out of it, right? Like, It's not a picture. It's not a still shot. It's not a...
It just makes me think of that amazing video that was going around lately about that poor woman who ran out of hairspray, so she...
Oh, my word. Gorilla glued her head.
Grabbed a bottle of spray Gorilla Glue, and she just hosed her head down with spray Gorilla Glue. And it had been like weeks.
Oh,
and her head was just completely
laminated.
Stuck.
Totally laminated.
And I do think that is what happens when you're trying for something that is static. You're trying to... It's like you want this beautiful static moment, to extend and be the video.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that is like trying to Gorilla Glue your hair. It's not going to be great what comes out the other side of that.
But I think that the reality is so much frustration and so much lack of intuition about what you're trying to do in your house comes back to not having aligned your imaginative vision for your goals and what you're trying to accomplish with what you actually believe about the world, about children, about why God gave you your home, what stewardship is. Like, it doesn't...
Or even what beauty is, I have to say. That's a big one. Like,
Yes.
what is beautiful in a home?
Right.
And I think that can get real mangled up, too, in people's minds.
But homes are ideally making people. Right? It's like they're shaping people and building culture and doing...
I think they're making people, like it or not. It's just... how well are you doing it?
Well, I know, but my point is that those still shots that's it. Because I think, like, when I see a large swath of the Instagram mommy design type genre, whatever that whole genre, which does come up often.
I can't, when you say mommy design, Rachel, I'm grasping. What do you mean?
Buck, is this going to be another one of those things where you show how sheltered you are? I think it is. I think it's going to be that.
Mommy design. Like, just give me something more than that I can
I said mommy design because I actually mean design things, not high-end design gay men's homes, which would be probably like Architectural Digest or something if you followed that. But I'm talking about the kind of the sorts of people who are influencers in home design, but probably do have kids. I think a lot of them are Mormon.
Talking about like Magnolia.
A lot of them.
Okay.
Well, Magnolia is not Mormon. I was just meant Instagram-y.
Is that what you're talking about, though? That kind of thing?
Yeah, but they're more, that's a bigger one. I mean, that's not as much just sort of women all showing what their houses look like. But there's a ton of commonality in them, like where you think, I think I've seen this before. It all looks exactly, it looks very like the last thing that you saw before. Like so there's a ton of imitative, tight circles of imitative design work. Oh, go ahead and pause it for a second. I'm gonna go. Sorry.
Rachel came back.
Intermission.
Anyway, I think I'm caught up with you.
You catching up on what I mean. They're all very similar.
Yeah, there's the same package of Instagram filters that they all purchased.
Yeah. And there will be a lot of, and interestingly, it goes along with hairstyles that go with it, clothing choices that are specific to it.
I'm with
how
you
dress your kids.
Yeah.
It's just a lifestyle kind of like, this is my lifestyle. You should follow me for my lifestyle.
Yeah. Right.
But the thing that I was going to say about all of that is that you could make an icon of like, this is the way I want my home to be based on this pack of still shots.
Sure.
But you don't actually know anything about the spiritual state of this situation. Like, I think that this is actually just a danger, and I'm really broadening the situation here, but it broadens to the problem with any kind of lifestyle teaching, like anything that's like, this is how you go about living, this is who you should be. But if it's not actually overlaid with your faith, like if it's not actually connecting at different points with, because this is what we believe we're doing in raising our children, then I think it has this, it can, I am not saying it universally does, can have a side effect of making you view the work you're doing in your home as very two-dimensional. Like, it's very about what clothes you put on your kids and about if the moment looked good, and not about the actual work that needs to be done.
So when you're connecting, I think I've always thought that the point of intersection between theology and design is completely fascinating to me.
Because it's crazy.
Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about getting distracted and you're thinking about design instead of thinking about your belief?
No, I think it's both.
Which
I think
part?
I think it depends on which direction you're coming from. But when design, like, okay, so this is theoretical. Design happens, say that we take out any like influencing part of it, like it's just a person making a space beautiful, like
Okay.
they're just doing the work of
In a vacuum, sort of.
essentially, let's take out other influences. So say in that context of a person designing a space, say a woman designing a home, what is coming out her fingertips is what she believes about nature, about God, about how, like, about a whole bunch of things. It's an expression of belief. And that work of doing that is a work of sort of like practical theology in a way. Like, I'm not saying
I think the thing
that it's always conscious, but what I think the thing I'm trying to say is in its purest form, does the expressions of beauty and design, it's a kind of art, it's an expression of what we believe about the world. And in that, but a lot of people let others do the work of that for them and just imitate the, like, and I'm not even saying that that's a problem. I'm just saying.
No, I think the thing is, I think if you pick any field at all of art, like fashion design, architecture, music, just whatever, sculpture, if you were to go to the actual artists, they know exactly what they think.
Right.
They know
and
how...
we talked about this with the gardening the other day.
Yeah, but they know how it connects to what they're doing. They know what they're trying to express. They have a worldview that they are trying to express in this artistic medium. Mm-hmm. Then you always have the hacks who come along afterwards and simply jump on the bandwagon because whatever it was popular, and they start imitating it. They're just in it for the quick buck. It's like, oh, this is hot right now, so I will give it to you in a much more like hackneyed way, and it will be a ripoff, and it will be, it won't be very interesting, and I couldn't possibly tell you why anybody likes it. I just follow the money, sort of. So there's that, and I think that Christian women ought to be like the former, not the latter. So it's like you should be thinking about these things more profoundly, not just simply saying, oh, this is hot now.
But I do want to say something here, which is that it's also okay, like, just in case this is the kind of thinking that you are not inclined to yourself. For instance, I think Dad was just talking the other night, and he did comment that something, the way he was raised, that he needed more answers for why things were the way they were. And he said, my kids are that way. And I realized, I was like, it's true that all three of us like to get back to the root situation and talk about it. And I don't think that there's any moral obligation that, like, if you run into a painting that you're like, I just love this and I think it'd be pretty in my living room, I don't think you have to be able to give a theological explanation.
But also, your hypothetical a minute ago, there's no such thing as design in a vacuum. Everything is derivative. Like, everybody is a product of their moment, and they are getting their inspiration from somewhere and all of that. Even the most purely artistic people are still a product of their moment, and they're doing things that are very much so it's not that. All I'm saying is that Christian women should strive to be artists and not the knockoff manufacturers.
But a big part of it, I think what I was trying to say is that I think that we are quick to imitate the final, like, just trying to imitate a two-dimensional look at a home. Like, all this is that because we don't have it's not easy to try to imitate three-dimensionally in a home what you like. You have to have a bigger imagination for that, and it is an imagination that will always be being stretched and challenged.
But also, I think getting inspiration from all the other women around you who are doing it,
it's great,
or from the Instagram women around you who are doing it, is fantastic. And especially fantastic if you can look at it and say, it's a shame about the worldview, because what she did over here was actually really pretty, and I'm going to grab that anyways. Like, that's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. It's just do it with more of a thought in your head than simply
Right.
everybody seems to be into this right now.
Well, there's an account that I follow because I like her cooking, and I like not just her cooking, I like her style of cooking. It's a person that I feel like I have a
affinity with.
Yeah, a deeper affinity. And then when some Department of Hell No post came my way and I clicked on it to look at it, I see that she has liked it. And it really was a dark and devious Wiccan style thing. So it wasn't even like,
Yeah.
I was just like,
Interesting.
dang it. Like,
Yeah.
but no part of me feels like, because she likes foolishness in this place, I can't learn from her in this other place.
No.
It's just the fact that you're like, let's see how it is now.
Yeah.
And why did I bring this all up? I think it's because it's harder to get a 3-dimensional imaginative vision of what the home is, because that's how people feel it when they're in a home. When they're in a home where they're like, this is what I want. Like, it's something that you don't experience through just pictures. You experience it through the interaction of people and the fellowship in the home and the joy in the Lord and it's a different thing than just what items do you have on the, you know, it's different than how did you decorate? It's different than.
Yeah. But so to connect it back to the original question though, of like being, I don't remember how it was phrased, like
kind of like perfection probably versus.
Well, the perfection of photos versus the fact that we actually are called to get good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that there's always the ditch on either side of the road. And I feel like there are some women who live only for the perfect cleanliness of the house, and everything else must be sacrificed to it. Where did I see this?
I'll just put a pin in that and I'll say, that's not been my problem.
No, but the thing is, it was some online discussion. I can't remember. And there were a lot of people coming in to talk about, I think it was whether or not you should take your shoes off. Should you ask guests to take your shoes off at the door? Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of people coming in with real foreign takes on the situation from where I am. My thought right now in the current state of my home is guests ought to keep their shoes on for their own protection. However, the point is in this discussion, somebody said that their friend or something, neighbor, used to keep those doctor footy things that she would make people put on when they came into the house.
Like a shower cap on their feet.
Oh, my word.
It's when you know you've gone too far.
Something where
you're like, wow.
But, so there were, people who live in the sort of service of the perfectly clean house.
This is just a shout out to whoever out there was like, good idea. Whoever heard Becca say this and thought, I'm going to make my friends and neighbors put on a booty when they come in the door. Don't do it.
No.
Retrace your steps.
No.
Back up.
Reverse out of this. But the thing is, so anyway, I'm just saying there are a lot of people who really, a dirty floor would ruin everything. Like it really would. And of course, I do understand the frustrations of a dirty floor, but it's just everything must live to serve the floor. Your guests must wear booties on their feet because the floor, so there's that approach. But then on the other side, there was this thing, I haven't seen it lately, but there was this kind of trend about just come be real with me as I wallow in the dustbin at my house. Sort of like just come be a part of how messy and ugly everything is. And that's what real Christians do, and we're not.
I just like us to all consider that there is some place that's not in a ditch.
Right,
You could,
right.
like, sometimes we could just try to hit the middle lands.
But that side of things kind of acts like if you did have a lovely house, it's because probably you're a raging hypocrite.
Yeah. Well, okay, but I would say this. Like, I think that there's deep theology in what we think our homes should look like, what we think beauty is, what we think, like, how we reflect what God has done to us. I think there's huge amounts of theological richness there.
Yeah.
At the same time, most of the time, I put a plant in a windowsill because I like it. Because I'm like, that's fun. Not because I'm writing little theological essays on the subject. It's not like,
no.
And here shall go this because the Trinity speaks.
Gosh.
Like, I'm
But
trying
see,
to
that
just
would
be
be-
clear what we're not talking about.
Yeah, but see, somehow that makes me think of Lewis's preface to Paradise Lost. He's talking about the difference between an epic poem and a sonnet or something. And he said, the thing is, like a sonnet, every word is there on purpose because you only have so much space and every single word
might
has
even have
to
a
be,
double meaning.
Yeah, it probably does
yeah.
if it's a good sonnet. So you have to, like, it's like the detail is tight. And he said, but then you have epic is more like a cathedral where it's meant to be viewed from a distance, and the size of it and the magnificence of it is the point. And he said, and if you zoomed in on one detail of a cathedral, you wouldn't get very much at all out of it because it's a block,
Yeah.
But so I think that understanding the difference there is
important
good
because it's saying that your home actually is an epic, that's a great image for it because it's long, it's going somewhere, everything is towards the greater purpose, but not everything is so critically
and if
important
you zoomed
itself.
in on that one corner of your broom closet tried to get a theological statement out of it, it's not going to work.
But I just want to say this, and this is a thing that I can never tell if this was my greatest weakness or my greatest strength, and it's quite possibly both of them together.
I think oftentimes
they
those
are.
two things come real
my
tight.
weakness is my strength. My strength is also my worst weakness. But I felt this way anytime you encounter the hot tips of how to manage lots of kids.
Yes.
I always felt like this might work for me for a moment, but then it would be inappropriate.
Yeah, you can't get locked into a system.
Well, I remember, I've probably said this in here before. I remember somebody telling me the great breakthrough of how to keep your house clean when you have lots of kids is write all the daily jobs on lanyards and make the kids wear them around their neck. And I just felt like, you know what there is in there? There's some theological issues in there. Not necessarily if you're like, this is one key day and I need to know what you're all supposed to do. But it's not that I could never be found to need to do something there. But the idea of, essentially, it's like punch cards for your kids coming to work. You know what I mean? Like, we don't trust you. You have to wear it around your neck. I just feel like there's something big happening there.
To me, that gives me the identical feeling as if you had a staticky turtleneck on with your hair stuck down inside the neck.
Okay, but
that
it's the same.
Is like
it was the book that thwarted me so much that was all about large family logistics, but it's statements like the buddy system is critical. You must have your kids in the buddy system, and one of the benefits for the older buddy is that they get to eat the leftover dessert of the younger buddy. And I'm like, tapping out, can't be part of this situation. And actually, not because I have any problem with an older kid eating someone's leftover dessert. It's not actually even that. It's like somehow the whole thing seems to be presuming so much about what children are, what it's, like how, like, what is the main goal of our life? Is it really this? I can't deal with this. But all of these things, I feel like I don't care if I do a chore system for a short time that comes and goes that I don't think could bear being extrapolated into eternity. That's all right. I have no problem with that, But I always felt like I kept not being able to stand on the theology of a chore system. I felt like whatever system we had, I just was like, I can't do this. It's not the one. It's not the right
really
thing.
Funny.
But we've done a lot of different.
Yeah, we've done
a million different methods.
I think the key is when you find something that you think is, this is it forever, this system is it forever. It's kind of like those people who, this is a great mystery to me. Remember when doing your colors in the early 80s was a real thing?
Yeah, you winter, you summer.
Yeah, like I
Somehow
was little.
it was connected with Jafra.
Jafra definitely feels like it plays
was
into
Jafra makeup?
Yeah, but anyway, and they would swag the thing around the neck, and they would stand back and look at each other and say, I don't think that works on you. And then they would try, and they would talk about
I can already
all
tell
of
you
undertones
I
in their
can
skin.
tell you no yellows for me.
Yeah, but see, the thing is I think that there were a couple people who maybe had their colors done in 1982 and they found out what they were supposed to wear, and they probably similarly were told what would be flattering on them in terms of shape of pant. And they've been wearing that since 1982.
Okay, but
without strain.
there's other potential.
at all.
There's other potential here, because when skinny jeans came in, I was like,
Yeah,
they
no.
make your feet look weird,
Yeah.
and they're weird, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But then eventually, we
Yeah,
all
you
ended up
find
in
yourself
skinny
there.
jeans.
Yeah.
But now that skinny jeans are like, we're done here, let's go back to big pants.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know what's wrong with you people, because I don't want fabric flapping around my ankles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I have trouble enough as it is without loose fabrics on my ankles. And like trotting heavily on your pants hems is a thing that I'm glad to be done with.
But
then I'm like, I can't tell. Am I just slipping into this person that now
being
I'm
that
going to be
person.
installed permanently
but
in
you know,
skinny
it's
jeans?
like there
and
are
everyone will be
people-
like, if only we could get this person to stop wearing
I
these
know,
skinny
and there are
jeans.
people who found it out in 1982. They wear the same
Yeah.
haircut, the same makeup, the same all of that. And I do think that that's the error that people get into.
It's hard. It's hard to balance those things.
But when they get the, like, here's the chore chart, this is how we do it in our family.
we never
Never
reevaluate
shall
anything.
we stray from this method. I feel like you're becoming that person who's only still going to wear.
I actually would
the
just like to
olive
say
green.
my strength and weakness is overanalyzing what's happening, which can keep me from doing it.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I should say, I'll pull back and just say, the one thing that we universally stick to is that our kids will help around the house and clean up. And whatever I tell them to do, they have to do cheerfully.
Right.
So, however, whatever we do, if sometime I say, you guys are going to clean up for an hour and write down what you did, then we expect them to do that.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying, that's what we have fallen back on, because we do actually believe that that is a biblical principle, that they all should work to help,
sure.
and that they should cheerfully obey their parents, and that they should gladly serve one another. So that we have our principles, but it's not a formal system. But for those listeners out there who lock and load in systems and then get everything done, just consider that that strength of yours
may
also have a weakness. Yeah, like that there are every version of this has.
Yeah.
We have ways of erring on all sides.
Right. And so whatever it is that you're most good at, or the way you manage things, you should always just be looking for the potential downsides of where you go off the rails.
Right. Well, you've said this before when we've talked about design. It's like, for instance, one thing is, how does your home reflect what your husband wants your home to reflect?
Yes.
Because what is his vision for your home, and how is what you're doing in designing it actually reflecting a fuller picture? Because this is an example of what I meant by a three-dimensional thing. The three-dimensional thing of a wife trying to bless her husband through doing this in their home is glorifying his work, glorifying their heritage and what they're doing at home. That's not something that is just pictured in a two-dimensional thing. And so you want it to be that you're actually expressing a marriage. You're actually expressing a husband, a wife, children. You're expressing something that's really...
I do think, so if you imagine like an actual designer, someone who's doing it for business. I mean, obviously they have their style, their things, the things that they do. But if you go into a client's house, your kind of big job is to find out what the client wants. And then you take what the client wants and then you make it lovely. And you put your stamp on it and your mark on it.
But you're trying to express something for someone else.
For a specific client. And I do think that it's very easy for wives to be all in this to impress each other or to impress the people that follow them on social media.
And then their husband is kind of a fish out of water in their house.
The husband, what he thinks about it is neither here nor there, because I am going to be doing this latest thing and impressing all my girlfriends. And I do think that as a wife, you should be thinking about the actual, client is a weird way of describing it, but your husband. What does he want his home to be? And then how are you going to take that and then make it lovely?
Right. And how do you...
And if your house looks exactly like all your girlfriends' houses, I think the question is...
Well, that's my question.
Do all your husbands look identical?
I don't think that the husbands actually think that they have much place there. I think that that's typically how it is.
Yeah.
There goes Chloe coming home. I'll tell you all now. Chloe is being dropped off from her shorty date with Nana. Nana has taken every grandchild out on a date when they pass her in height.
Yep.
They go on a shorty date.
Yep.
And so that was my fourth child to
That's pretty good.
come back
all
from a shorty date.
Of mine have
long since
made
now,
it over the top of Nana's
long
height.
since your kids have all been.
But I do think that is a really important question, because if you decorate your house based on basically nothing that's relevant to your husband at all, I do think that might be something to stop and notice.
And this is a thing that I should say, I will put out there that I think is funny, is that I really like I like color. I like color. I wouldn't say I do florals everywhere, but like in one of our front rooms, we have a very floral big rug. And my husband feels very at home in that, and he is very, and I, throughout our marriage, there would be times like, how do you feel about this? Is this too, how do you feel about if I feel like doing this? But for him, it's very comfortable and homey. His mom always bought vintage fun, like floral and things like that is very the way that he grew up. And also he's a huge man who does not feel
insecure.
No, there's no part of him that feels like, but if
there's a floral tea towel,
like if there's
being threatened.
Right, like if there, and actually I should say, back when we had our shop, a couple came in to our shop to register for stuff for their wedding, and it was epic, because she would be like, oh, this is a cute tea towel. It was like a tea towel that had some flowers on it. He was like, no, it has flowers on it. But she was like, I like this picture that, whatever. He was like, it's not very masculine. And it started to be like, holy smokes, like this is, but it was very funny because he wanted her to register for only beige kitchen towels, which is weird that I even had a beige kitchen towel on the premises, but I guess we did.
Like, if the husband is getting married but wants to look like he lives in a man cave, that is a weird husband
in the
problem.
Discussion, because I sort of knew the couple, I said, it's going to be rough on you, because he was just like, this is, bad tea towel, looks like a woman. And I was like, the trouble is you're going to have girls' clothes in your house after this. Like, I mean, like, things are slipping away from you here, because there's going to actually be a woman living in your house at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I think, of course, there can be men who are just weird about it. They just want neon beer signs and antlers everywhere. That's potentially that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also women who want it to look like, no, man lives here.
No, it's like a girl's spa day at their house is what they're going for.
Exactly.
And actually I feel that way with like, well, there's just a lot of things where you think, really, is this a thing that,
right.
Is this really what your husband
Yeah, but
is
what do
hoping
you
for?
want?
Can you pause it for a second?
I can pause it again. And
All
she's
right.
back again.
Just running the errands.
Back
This
again.
time I gave away a dresser while I was gone.
Well done.
Just whew, getting
Just
just
like
like
that.
didn't see what I was just saying at the beginning of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's a dresser that I really like. That I got to the point where I was like,
There's
but we
no
don't
place.
need it.
Yeah.
It goes
Yeah,
nowhere.
there's nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what were we saying? That your house looks like a spa day with the girls.
Right. Like, is that actually
What he wants?
no, right. But also, is it actually what you think your house is supposed to be?
Right.
Do you think that your house is just supposed to be the place where you rest? Or is it supposed to be a place that's actually doing
Industry?
something?
Is
Yeah,
there
like
industry
right.
here.
Is there are you making makers? Are you making hospitality and making are you doing things?
But that's the other thing is I think if you ask yourself, first off, what does my husband, what is he about? And how can I glorify this home to be a
Right.
reflection of him and his interests and his, gifts and all of that. But then the other thing is what is this space for exactly? Because if you were designing a spa, it would be for one kind of thing. If you're designing a brick manufacturing facility,
And I
it
would say
be different.
That's a theological thing, again, because what we were talking about at the beginning, what the world will say all the time is that your home is just for your refuge. It's just for the place for you to unwind and relax.
Your docking station.
And there's nothing that's wrong with the fact that there's nothing wrong with the fact that you rest in your home.
Right.
But is that the full extent of what your
Right.
home is
Is
for?
that all of it?
And let me just put this out there. If you think that the purpose of your home is for you to feel restful in it, then I would like to bring to your attention that children then do not belong in your home.
Right.
Like the life of raising children is going to be constantly at odds with what you thought your home was for.
Right.
So of course you want your bedroom, ideally where you go to sleep should be a restful place. Of course that's the goal. But as far as thinking every room of the house is supposed to remind me of serenity, but then I have
Little
kids in it
hooligans
running around. It's that is really things that don't blend together.
But then
well.
there's things like, this just brings up a weird peeve of my own, a long-standing peeve, is that let's say you do have a house full of kids. I have always disliked it when you see a kindergarten classroom or something where it's full of kids, but that means we have to decorate it as if a child was the one in charge.
I actually
decorating
think
it.
that's where I wonder what's going on when people tape foam on the corners of the coffee tables and stuff. Because they're because this is basically a playland for children and we can't have sharp edges.
Yeah, but I just
That
mean
was actually a tip
but
I was given when we were having twins was to put pool noodles on the edges of everything. And I thought, really? Is there anyone in the world who's actually taping pool noodles
I bet there are.
on things?
I bet there are.
I was because that is unnerving.
No, but you know what I mean? Where it's sort of this is a room for children. That means it must have garish colors and bad fonts that look like a child drew it himself.
Okay, but when I had a lot of little kids, there was a time when I had the world's ugliest play kitchen that was like a Tuscan villa play. It was like a plastic little Tuscan. I say Tuscan, but what I mean is it was weird beiges and had grapes on an arbor on it. It was very funny.
Yeah.
It was sort of if the Olive Garden inspired a plastic play kitchen. But I purchased that thing. I bought it with my own money, which is really funny that I did that. And it was in our living room. And you know what? That was a good decision And the reason it was there was because I had a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, 3-year-old, who just turned 3, and a 1-year-old. And I was going to be nursing twins in that living room. And I felt like I need to keep an eyeball on these people somehow. Like, I can't, this is just a weird situation going on here. So at that time, we had the play kitchen there where and it was big enough. The reason we went with the Tuscan Villa was because it was big enough for 2 people to operate the kitchen at one time.
Yeah.
And, being in there and doing the stuff. And it was a style sacrifice for a time that had to be that way.
That's the thing, is I feel like there are some people who, like decorating, say, a little kid's bedroom. There are those who do something that no child would ever enjoy because they can't compromise on their style. Yeah. And then there are the other people who make it into like a wild
Chuck E. Cheese.
Like yes, because kids are going to be here. That means that it has to look like no adult has ever passed through.
Yeah, we're going to go with the really weird choices.
You have to be hospitable to your kids, but also realize you're trying to raise them with taste.
I think, my Tuscan Villa, it was a time, but it was also, I think, that really was a really good idea because I needed them to play in there, and it was like, whatever, this is fine. But it was also just mad chaos in my life at large at that time. But I will say that
sometimes only a Tuscan Villa will do.
I just remember them. And so I'd be nursing the twins, and they were just nonstop bringing me imaginary foods of everything.
Perfect.
But around that time, I also put a baby gate in our bedroom door.
Oh, yeah.
And I would get up in the morning and tidy up our whole bedroom. And the twins slept in our bedroom with us. So I would clean up the whole bedroom. Yeah. Make our bed. And then throughout the day, I would just step over the gate and go in the bedroom if I needed to change diapers or whatever. And the other girls would come to the door and the gate would keep them there. Yeah. They could have climbed over it, but they knew they weren't allowed to. So it just made it nice. So that was my one retreat. Refuge. Where you would go. I like that my retreat is where you went with 2 infants. Very relaxing. It was so relaxing in there. But anyways, the point is, I'm not saying make it all mayhem everywhere. But the point was, I wanted my girls to be in fellowship. I wanted them to be where I could see them. And I wanted it to be,
So I think, to sum up, because we have to hurry and close this thing out. But I think thinking about your home, like, you want to be more like an artist than like a knockoff purveyor. You want to be thinking about what home am I actually in, not what home do I wish I was in. What does my husband actually want? What is this home for? And how can I make it lovely? And how can I get better at making it lovely? And how can I not get too welded into my...
Well, how can I try something and evaluate whether it's accomplishing what I was hoping it would accomplish or not? Yeah. Because sometimes you sally out with a big idea and then you're like, whoops, I don't see the fruit of this. No. My goals are not realized.
Exactly. Okay, so I have a tip. I have one. This haunted me on social media long enough that I finally ordered it. And I will tell you that I stand by this.
I'm ready.
And I should have looked up the brand name because I don't remember.
Is it Worms or janitorial garbage bags?
No, it is not. And this one, I have tested it and I found it solid.
I'm ready.
It is a dishcloth-sized piece of chainmail.
Oh, yeah, I've had that for cleaning cast iron.
Scrubbing the cast iron. And I love it so hardcore because I have had a long-standing struggle with my cast irons because of the problems therein, where you can't, like, you get the scrubby out, you really can't get the thing unless you get the soap on, but then you've just ruined it forever. And I just love it so hardcore right now. I'm just living the dream.
I'm glad for you that you like that.
It brings me joy. That's where I am.
I congratulate you.
I stand by it.
Okay, I'll tell you mine, which is that after many moons of avoiding getting a sous vide because I felt like... Because I felt like it sounded too complicated to me.
Yeah, okay.
And I had close call when I looked up sous vide chicken, like, because I was like, oh, I would do that. I should look up sous vide chicken to just have in the fridge for lunches or whatever. Then whoever was going to tell me how to do it started with calipers.
Oh, no.
And then I just fired the whole concept. I was like, get out of my life. I have no time to be measuring chicken thickness with calipers.
He probably wanted a lanyard around your neck also.
Yeah, but I don't think I realized that what he was doing was in excess of what was needed. Like, I just kind of thought, I just kind of was like, huh.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, well.
So you like it. You like your sous vide.
Well, okay, but see, this is the thing, is that I make yogurt, because my kids really like yogurt and homemade granola, and the granola that I spoke ill of by saying it was so expensive, we've been making a lot of it, and but on yogurt, the kids really like it. But what I do is just do a whole gallon of milk that I'll heat up, and then I let it cool off again until it's the right temp, and then stir in some yogurt and sweeten it, or if I want to. I don't always do that. And then I put it in 2 half-gallon jars.
Yeah.
With the plastic lids, and just put them in the sous vide,
and away you go.
And then I have a whole gallon of yogurt at a time.
Well done.
And it's so easy. And I
Awesome.
made chicken for our lunch today in it. You know, that was so easy. And I'm just saying that it really actually is a thing that's worth doing. I don't think it just has to be as fussy as it seemed, is what I think I'm realizing.
That's cool.
Because the whole caliper situation did make me not look at it for some time. So
yeah, it would also.
I feel like this was one of those things where I really had to come around to thinking I had room in my heart for it. But once having had room in my heart for it, I'm like, well, this is so easy. Everybody should have one.
That's awesome.
That's my hot tip.
Look at the clouds are like straight up Maxfield Parish clouds today. Like,
they are.
Look at over there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's very pretty.
So fab.
And some rain coming down on the town.
Well, I'm gonna go paint my shelves now.
I should probably paint my shelves too. So until next time.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.